Dave Whitting from IntegratePro. This is a free masterclass that reveals how to create a membership site and start selling your online courses in an afternoon. I'm not talking days, weeks, or months. Literally in an afternoon. The goal is to take you from idea to being able to sell in as few steps as possible. And the steps we have to follow are choosing the tools to use, doing the setup, connecting everything, and then going live. So let's dive right in. Now, to make this process even easier, I've put together a guide, and I'd like you to go to IntegratePro.co/guide to get it. And what this will have is this will have links to automations that are pre-built. This will be a big time saver for you. All you'll need to do is import the automations that I'm going to show you how to build and then make some slight modifications. Also, you'll find the code snippet that needs to be included on your WordPress site. And then there's also a spreadsheet that helps with going live. So before we go any further, make sure you've got this guide. Visit IntegratePro.co/guide. Step 1, choose. This is where we get to decide what tools we're going to use. And I've got a very specific tool set that works. Just simply, once it's set up and running, it works. And it makes it easy to scale. You can easily add more content, you can add more courses, you can change payment options, things like that. And in my opinion, more importantly, it handles important stuff gracefully. What do you want to do if a payment fails? Do you want to do something so that they get access removed or not? What about making it easy for people to get access to their content when they purchase? And then, for instance, adding, removing access all happens automatically with this setup. We're going to use WordPress. The shopping cart is going to be ThriveCart. Email is handled by ActiveCampaign. There's a WordPress plugin called ActiveMember360. There's another WordPress plugin, Learndash, and the theme is SocialLearner. ThriveCart's where the customer's going to go to make payment. This is where we set up the product. Now, ThriveCart is going to connect to our email system, and it's going to kick off some email automations based on what happens in ThriveCart. This is also where we allow auto-logging capability, so that when somebody purchases, they're automatically logged into the membership without having to wait for an email that says, here's your login details. Nor do they have to create a password. It all happens automatically. ActiveCampaign. We're going to have automations based on what happens in ThriveCart, what type of behavior happens. In other words, did they make a purchase? Did they make a subscription payment? Did their credit card fail? Did they abandon the shopping cart? Those are the type of things we're going to do in ActiveCampaign. Also, we're going to tag customers based on whether they're an active customer or not. In other words, have they made their most recent payment? Or if they didn't, we change tags. And this is also where we have our login automation that sends off an email with login details even after they've already logged in. ActiveMember360 is the WordPress plugin that creates membership levels inside your WordPress account. And also, it ties into the auto login capability. Learndash is a WordPress plugin that makes it easy to have like a hierarchy of courses. And in their language, they call it courses followed by lessons, then topics. There's also things like quizzes, badges that you can use and enable. For what we're doing, we're not going to need to do that. SocialLearner is the theme. It makes it great for organization. The layout's excellent so that when people go in there, it's obvious what they have access to and they can help step them through the course step by step easily. Step 2, setup. Setting up this system involves setting up WordPress, ActiveCampaign, SocialLearner, Learndash, ActiveMember360, and ThriveCart. And hopefully you've noticed it's gone from left to right. I've done this because order is important. If you do it in this order, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and potentially a lot of headache. And the reason is what we do early on builds on what we do later. And just to give you some perspective, setting up WordPress is very quick, literally 5 minutes or less. Now, ActiveCampaign, which is the second step, takes much longer. But the result is, for instance, ActiveMember360 setup, which is second to last, goes relatively quick because of the work we did earlier. So order is important. We set up WordPress first, ActiveCampaign. There's a number of things we're going to do in there. SocialLearner is actually relatively straightforward, followed by Learndash. But that order is very important. You need to have one set up before the other. And then we follow up with ActiveMember 360, which depends a lot on what we've already done in ActiveCampaign. And then finally, ThriveCart, which does tie into ActiveCampaign directly. So we definitely have to do it in this order. In this section, we're going to talk about WordPress. Now, for a membership site, I'm going to highly recommend you use a new WordPress install. In other words, don't share your membership site on your current WordPress site. So if you have a domain that has WordPress installed, we're going to install it either in a separate subdomain or subdirectory specific for that. Another thing I'm going to recommend is having no caching plugins. And yes, caching plugins improve performance. However, they can cause conflicts. And then third, I'm using CPanel type hosting. It makes it relatively easy to set up, install WordPress. So let's dive right in. So you'll want to go to your website's CPanel. So here's the domain I'm working with. I'm going to do /CPanel. I'm going to log in and go find the WordPress. There should be something that says WordPress under Softalicious Apps Installer. Click on WordPress. Click on Install Now. Now you want to leave almost everything here. I'm going to put it in a directory called Members. I'm not actually going to do a subdomain. I'm going to go ahead and put it into a directory, a subdirectory called Members. And I want to give it a name. I'm going to call it Online Course. And unfortunately, you have to leave something here. So I'm just going to say My Online Course. Scroll down here. Probably want to come up with a better password. I'm going to go ahead and type something like that. And I'm going to copy off that and save it in a text file for now. And I'm going to put in an email address, my email address. I'm going to leave it as English. I'm not going to do any plugins, nothing else I don't think needs to happen. And I'm going to go ahead and email the results to myself. Not that I don't remember, but just in case I don't. And then I'm going to go ahead and click install. Now this can take a few minutes. And if it does, just let it run, but you definitely don't want to interrupt it. But at this point, we've got it set up and working properly. So I want to click on administrative URL, and what is nice is I'm actually automatically logged in right off the bat. Now, what I want to do next is set it up for working properly with our membership site. And there's a few things I like to actually get rid of in this case. I don't need these plugins, so I'm going to go ahead and select both of them. Click on delete. Actually, go ahead and delete those. Say goodbye. All right. Now I want to go to settings. I'm going to click on settings here. Now for membership, I want to just make sure that anyone can register is not set. That's what I'd like. I'm going to change it to a time zone that's more appropriate. This is actually, this is optional, but not a bad idea to put it something that makes sense for you. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to go to Settings and Reading. And this is optional. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Discourage search engines from indexing this site. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to go to Settings, Media. And I'm going to untick this box that says Organize my uploads into month and year-based folders and click on Save Changes. Now up to Pages, I'm going to click on that. I am going to click on this and go ahead and move to Trash and then apply it. And that's it. So I've got WordPress set up, I've got it installed, I have it set up, ready to go. In this section, we're going to cover setting up ActiveCampaign. We're going to configure ActiveCampaign that runs your email list and acts as your marketing automation system to give customers access to your membership site after they purchase. Now, if you don't have ActiveCampaign yet, pause the video and go to IntegratePro.co/ActiveCampaign and get the Lite package. That's all you need so you can follow along with the next steps in this tutorial. Now, we're using the Lite plan, and all we're going to be doing inside ActiveCampaign is setting up a single list. We're going to create tags, we're going to import and modify automations, and then we're going to set up a single custom field. One thing to note, the automations and the way we set it up, the order is important. It'll save you a lot of time if you do it in this order. So let's dive right in. So first thing to do is log into ActiveCampaign. And we're going to create a list. So we want to go to Lists, Add New List. And I would recommend calling this like main. We don't want to create multiple lists per course. We basically want to have one list, and then we will use tags to identify what course they're in. So I'm going to call this main. And you'll want to provide the URL of your site and and a reminder. And I would recommend something better than I'm doing. And then go ahead and click on Create List. Now, next thing we want to do is click on Manage Fields. Click on New Custom Contact Field. We want to have text input. Click on Next. And then we want to do password. If you already have that created, fine. You don't need to do this, but we definitely need to have a field called password. And go ahead and click Add Contact Field. Next thing is we want to create tags. So I want to go over and click on the little person icon which says Contacts. We want to click on Manage Tags. And in the Add Tags box, these are the ones I want to add. I'm going to go ahead and copy paste these right in here. There are 4 different tags. The first one is customer dash and then product name or membership name. In this case, I'm calling it online course. Then you want to have basically the same thing with dash active, dash inactive, and then dash inactive dash 30 days. These 2 in the middle, we're always going to have one or the other, but not both. And the last one is really to help remove people who have canceled after 30 days. And then the first one, the online course, the customer dash online course, that never changes. That will always be attached to the customer. It's like being born. You can't be unborn. Unfortunately, you can live or die, and that's where active, inactive comes into play. So go ahead and click on Add Tag. So there's my 4 tags I've just added. Now, next step is to add some automations. And again, I recommend doing this in order so that when you go to another automation that requires using a previous, it's already set up. So we're going to go to Automations, New Automation, and I'm going to actually import this one. So I'm going to go ahead and import this automation right here. Now, every automation I import, I need to make some changes to the name. I need to change it to active. So first thing I will do here, and because this is called online course, subscription-cancel 30 days, I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to click on active. Now, it already has a tag in here, but I need to change these to the appropriate one. So I'm going to go ahead and look for customer-online. And that was the inactive 30 days. And we're simply removing the active tag and applying the inactive. That's how we're going to identify if somebody is a current member or not. So there's the dash active. And we're going to apply the inactive tag. So I'll give you a little context. How this works is there's no entry per se, automatic entry. It has to be added via a different automation or manually. We wait a total of 30 days, and the only reason I show 10, 10, and 10 is just if I ever want to look and get an idea of how many people are in here, and I want to know how far along they are. That's the only reason I do that there. And then we check to see, do they have this tag, which means they've canceled, we need to make them inactive. If they do have the tag, we go ahead and we remove the active tag and apply the inactive. Otherwise, we skip over and we end this automation. Now, the way this is set up, we're going to use it more than once. This looks like it's a one-time thing, but another automation will add and remove somebody from this based on their behavior. So this has been modified to have the correct tags, the name's been changed, and it's made active. So I'm going to go back to automations, and I'm actually going to apply a label. And it's going to be called online course. So all of my automations associated with this course are going to have an appropriate label. So next up, we want to import another automation. So I'm going to import this automation. Now we are going to have to come back later and make a change here. But for now, I'm going to leave this name as is. It's going to be called ActiveMember360 MBR_GenPass. I want to make it active. I will come back with this information once I have this set up. This is basically a link to your membership site, your WordPress membership site, with some additional information appended to the end. We're going to use this to control updating the members' password, tags with this automation. So again, I'm now have this active. I've got the name the way it should be, which is unchanged. And I'm going to add the online course label. So now, next up, we want to import another automation. Click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the link, click on Import. A little bit different because we're going to be prompted to reference back to some other automations that we just imported. Hence the reason we're doing this in order. So let's add the, let's start with this one. Click on Next. And here's where we need that password field. Select when password field and it happens to be greater than empty. So in other words, it's not empty. And then for the if else check, it's the same custom field. Password is greater than empty. Now we want to send an email to the member with their password. So I'm going to simply use my default name and email. I'm going to click on Next. This is a little bit different. This is a different scenario. So who do you want to send a message to if there's a login problem? You might simply send it to yourself, or if you have somebody who can handle this for you, add their email address. And then you're sending an email. So I would use whatever you've already have in there. So that's about it. There is one thing we are going to change right here. We want to replace this with the WordPress site you've already set up. In my case, it was this. And I'm going to do login for now. So I'm going to go highlight that. I want to click on link and go ahead and paste that in. And what this is, it's the welcome email. It's very basic. Of course, you can modify it. And I'm trying to use this generically, so I'm not mentioning the course that they signed up for in here. I'm simply saying, here's your login details. It'll send over this link with this email address, their email address, and their password field, which is the reason we already created that. So if you want, you can modify, for instance, the subject line. If you want to change like a pre-header text, I don't think you need to in this case. Go ahead and do that. And yes, I would not recommend using Yahoo or Gmail for that matter, but for what we're doing right now, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Exit. So to show you what's going on here, somebody will get put into this automation. We're going to run this automation, which is basically the one that connects to WordPress, adds the user if they're not already there, applies a password if it isn't already generated, and passes over any tags or custom field information. Now, This is set up to be as quick as possible or handle any issues. So I just mentioned that's what this does. And then there's a wait state. It can be up to 5 minutes. Now it says if the password is greater than, and what you don't see is basically if it's greater than empty, in other words, it's not empty, just go right through this and then check, is it empty? Well, if it's not empty here, it certainly isn't empty here, which means it goes down the yes path, sends them the welcome and login email that we just modified. However, if for whatever reason there's an issue, it will wait up to 5 minutes and then come down to here, and because it is empty, it's going to go down this no path. And then somebody on your team is going to get notified that there's an issue, and that means you will need to go figure out. And this is kind of a last case, worst case scenario that might happen if for whatever reason the password's not there. You're going to have to go and set the password and then put the person back into this automation. Now, to be nice, at the same time, we're going to send out an email that says, hey, your login details are coming soon. We don't have them ready. We're not telling them that, but that's what's happening. So then they will then go down this path and then in the automation. So this can happen very quickly, and it normally would, or it'll take 5 minutes and notify you. So I'm going to go ahead and make this active. And membership login, I'm not going to rename that. And I'm going to add a label, online course. And I should point out that these two automations right here can have multiple labels. In other words, we can use those across different courses. Okay, so let's create a new automation. Click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the URL, click on Import. So we have to go through and make some adjustments here. First thing is we need to put them on the list that we created. This one is called main. So we want to add them to an automation. In this case, the online course subscription cancel 30 days. That's one automation. Second automation is the membership login automation, and then click on Done. Again, we need to change the name here. Save that, make this active. And we need to change these tags. So let's change this to this is remove tag customer inactive. This is apply the customer active tag. And this one is just the generic customer tag for that specific course. So what happens? Somebody gets put into here, we clean up tags, we remove the inactive, if they even have it, they probably don't. We add the active tag, we add the main customer tag, this one never gets removed, put them on the list, we put them into an automation, this 30-day cancel subscription automation, and then we put them into the membership login automation, and then we're done there. So if we go back here, we're going to add the online course label. And now we want to create another automation. So click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the URL, click on Import. Now, this is pretty plain. There's really not much going on other than changing the tags. And this is why we have these two tags. We're going to remove the active. If they make a refund, well, guess what? They no longer have the active tag applied. And we are going to apply the inactive tag. So go ahead and rename this to online course. Save it, make it active, go back out. We're going to apply the online course label. Click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the URL. Click on Import. Now, this is a little bit different. I'm just going to simply click on this X right here and notice nothing happens. In this case, I'm not worried. If the card is declined, I'm not going to do anything. You could set up this automation to send out an email to do something. In this case, I'm not going to worry about it. However, I do want people to pass through here. In case I have something that I would like to do, I've got this ready to go. But I am going to rename it. I'm also going to make it active. I'm going to go back to automations. And then I'm going to apply the online course label. I'm going to click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the link, click on Import. Again, I'm going to click on the X, and this is one of those automations you actually might want to use. Now, based on the shopping cart I'm using, this can come into play and actually works really well. So if somebody abandons the shopping cart, in other words, they put in their email address but they did not complete, they will get put into this automation. It's up to you, for instance, to follow up with them. For instance, you might wait 30 minutes, an hour, and then send them an email and say, hey, are you still interested? And then have a link to the cart again. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. However, I do want people to pass through here. So I will change the name, click on Save, make this active, go back to Automations, and it looks like I need to do labels for both of these. I'm going to click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the URL. Now, look what I'm doing here. This is a subscription refund. It's not the main product. This is a subscription refund. And again, I want to change the tags here. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Make this active, change this to the appropriate tag, the active tag, which I want to remove. And this will be the inactive tag. Go ahead and exit this. Yep, and then we're going to add the online course label. I want to click on New Automation, Import Automation, paste in the URL. Now, this one's a little bit different. We're going to make tag changes like we have previously. However, let's click on Get Started, and the automation we want to exit is the online course subscription cancel 30 days. So I'm going to click on Next. And then the automation we want to enter is the exact same one, the cancel 30-day automation. Now, I also need to make appropriate tag name changes, so I'm going to change this. And I'm also going to remove the inactive one. And I'm going to add the active. And this one's good. This one is kind of an important one. It puts people into like a 30-day cycle. So in other words, every time they make a payment, the next time that we might remove them is 30 days. So even if they cancel, let's say 10 days into their subscription, we're going to give them access through the end of the 30 days. I do this to save on refunding money. So if somebody cancels right away, or let's say 25 days in, I really don't want to give them a refund. However, I will extend the time to the very end of what they've paid for. So that's exactly what this does. If somebody gets put in here, we finish that automation so that they don't get the tags applied. And we make sure the tags are set the way they should be. So we remove this tag, the -30 inactive. We also remove the inactive tag and we apply the active, because if they've made a payment, that means they're active. And then we put them right back in there. So they're now back on a 30-day timer for being potentially removed. So I'm going to change the name here. And first I need to know how to spell. Go ahead and save that, make that active, go back to automations. I'm going to add the online course label. Okay, I want to click on New Automation, Import Automation. Now I need to go through this setup here. And again, I'm sending out an email. And this is basically going to be my name, my email. I'm going to click on Done. And I'll need to change the name. Save that, make this active. Need to make the appropriate tag changes. So this is, we're removing the active tag. And we're applying the inactive. At this point, we can apply these tags right here and immediately remove access to them. And that's my recommendation, because if their payment has failed, we don't want to allow them to have access. That's different than refunding. So we also are going to take advantage and send them an email. It says, hey, your email has failed, your payment's failed, please take care of it. And this is why we're using the shopping cart that we are, because what we're going to do is we're going to put in the product name here. And then once we have our ThriveCart account link, we're going to put it right in here. People can then go and self-serve themselves to update their credit card payment so that you don't have to type it in for them. They can do that for themselves. This is an important one, because guess what? People's payments do fail. So you want to make it so they can easily and automatically update their payment details. So I'm going to go ahead. There's nothing I need to do here at this point, but I will need to come back to that one later. So I'm active. I've changed the name. I'm going to go back to automations. I'm going to add the online course label. Okay, I want to click on new automation, import automation, paste that link in there, import. I'm just going to start by actually changing the name here. Saving that, clicking on active. And notice this is the inactive-30 tag, so I'm applying that tag. And if you recall back to one of the first automations we had, this is going to be something that gets checked, and this will determine whether we make somebody inactive or not. So if somebody cancels their subscription, all we're doing at this point is applying the inactive-30s tag. They're already in the automation that will check after 30 days from when they've paid. So it's active, the name's changed, go back to automations, and I'm going to go ahead and add the online course label. And that's it for automations. There's a couple more things I want to do that I will need for future. So I'm going to go to settings, and I want to go to developer, and I need to save off. I'm going to copy the API access URL, and just put it in a notepad. I'm going to copy the API access key and also save that off. And then we're going to come back to this later, but we're going to go into manage webhooks, and we want to make sure there's no specific webhooks running. This is part of the reason we don't want to have caching plugins, anything like that. There's nothing to show you at this point, but we will get back to here. So that's the setup for ActiveCampaign. In this section, we're going to cover installing SocialLearner. Now, if you don't already have SocialLearner, you're going to want to go to IntegratePro.co/SocialLearner and then sign up and get it. Click the sign in link in the upper right hand corner. Click Login. Under the drop down menu here, there's My Account. Click on that. And underneath SocialLearner Learndash, you want to go to the one-click installer, click on Download. Now you're going to need to log back into WordPress. And from here, you want to go to Plugins, Add New, Upload Plugin, and you can choose File, or in this case, I'm simply going to drag it right to there and drop it. Next thing, I will click Install Now. Now I'm going to click on Activate Plugin. I want to click on Settings underneath BuddyBoss One-Click Installer. And you'll need to connect to your BuddyBoss account. Because I'm already logged in, I should only have to allow. Click on Allow. Now, we're going to start with the SocialLearner Learndash theme. So I'm going to go click on Download. and I'll click on OK just to acknowledge that. And if you leave your mouse over it, it'll tell you how much is already downloaded. So it looks like it's about 14% right now. Okay, demo package is downloaded and ready to install. Click on OK. And then you want to click on Install Now for SocialLearner. Now, I didn't see it, but sometimes there's a warning message that comes up that tells you that it's going to delete everything that's already installed in terms of posts and pages. And realize that's part of the reason why we don't want to have other plugins installed. We don't want to have be sharing this with a different part of your site. You want to make a clean install. So now we just kind of go through, install the required elements. So we're going to start with themes, and eventually once you have these installed, we're going to go to the one-click install. So I'm going to start with the Boss theme, the Boss Child theme, and you really don't have a choice. You have to do it in order. So BuddyPress, BBPress, Learndash LMS, it says install manually. And what you want to do at this point is go to IntegratePro.co/Learndash. I'm going to log in. And I want to go to My Account, Downloads. And I want to click the Learndash Download. Now, back to WordPress. And instead of going to install that directly here, I actually want to right-click on plugins or mouse over, right-click Add New, and open in a new tab. I want to leave this here and then work in a different tab. So now I'm going to upload plugin. And I'm going to drag the Learndash up to the Choose File area. Click on Install Now. I want to click on Activate Plugin. Now notice Learndash doesn't sometimes automatically show up on the sidebar, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh this screen. Now it does. I'm going to click on Learndash LMS, and notice there's no courses found right now. Not a big deal. Now I want to go to, actually I want to scroll down and go to Settings, LMS License, and I need to provide my email address and the license key, which I can get from in here. Click Update License, and you should get a message back that says your license is valid. So I can go ahead and close this tab now and go back to here. And I'm going to refresh this screen, and this should disappear, and I should be on to the next step. So it does say it's installed. Now I want to do BuddyPress for Learndash. Now, I want to go up and click on one-click install. Now, this might take a few minutes. It needs to go through and set everything up. Okay, I'm going to just X out of there. So that's been done. Now, sometimes this does happen. I can't say I know exactly why, but somehow that seems to happen. Now, one thing I want to point out, I'm going to go to Pages. And I ran into this problem, but I want to point out, because I created a subdirectory called Members, I've actually created another one called MembersX. There's a page here that has that exact same URL, so that can be problematic. So if you do have this installed in a directory or subdirectory called Members, I would come into here, click on Edit, and I'm going to do this regardless of the URL that I'm using. And I want to go to right here, permalink, and I'm going to call it Membership, only so it can be different. Because if I was in the subdirectory called Members, that would have been problematic. So that's one small thing you want to change there. Now, I'm going to click on All Pages. And for the home page, I want to click on Edit with WP Bakery Page Builder. Now, this is up to you how you want to do this, but in my case, I want to basically delete everything there except for the courses. The point of this page is where members go to actually log in, not where they go to sign up, not where they go to pay or anything like that. So I want to come into here, and I basically want to delete everything out of here except the courses. So I'm going to X out of that. And I'm going to X out of that. We'll get rid of the featured instructors. Featured students. It's not like you can't leave these here. In my case, I simply want to keep only the new courses here. And that's it. So when somebody comes to the home page of this members directory, they're just going to see this and they should be able to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on update. And I actually need to, let me see if I close that. Actually, I'm going to play it safe. I've updated that and I'm going to click on the back arrow to get here. I want to go to plugins. And because I'm not using the WooCommerce, I'm going to deactivate it. It's not required to do so, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to Appearances. I'm going to go to Appearance Menus. Now, at this point, I might want to remove some of these things. So I could get rid of these off of the Buddy panel, which happens to be on the left-hand side. And for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and now I'm going to go to title bar. I'm going to select it and actually do not want anything. So what I'm going to do is go down here, untick that box, and I'm going to go ahead and save the menu. Now I'm going to go to Appearance, Editor. Now it's going to tell me you're crazy to do this, and I'm going to say, yep, I understand perfectly. I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to make a change to, I'm going to add something to the theme functions. And the reason I'm doing this is because of, let's just call it a security issue. If I search the website, I'm going to be able to see anything that's on there, but I don't want anybody that's not logged in to be able to see that. Now, one thing that happens here is sometimes this doesn't save properly. So right now we're in the theme functions file. And I am going to go down here and just prior to this closing tag, which is a question mark greater than symbol, I'm going to paste in some code. Now, your server may not have the issues that I'm going to show you potentially, but this is the code that I've just pasted in here, which prevents people that are not logged in from being able to search the site. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Update File. And sometimes this does not work properly. So we have an alternative way to accomplish this, and this should save almost immediately, which tells me there's probably going to be an issue. So I'm going to let it run here. It'll probably time out, and then I'm going to need to go into my hosting cPanel and make a slight change. This doesn't seem to be working, so I'm going to kind of cheat. I'm going to click on anywhere else. I'm going to click on Leave. Now I just paused it and notice it says something went wrong, changes weren't able to be made. So I'm going to click on Editor again. And I'm going to click on Functions. And if you look closely, nothing was saved. So here's the alternative method. If I log into my cPanel account, the cPanel of my account, I want to go to File Manager. I want to go to Public HTML, and I want to go into the members directory. In this case, I've renamed it Members X. WP Content, Themes, Boss Child, Functions. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to click on Edit. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and line 59, I'm going to go ahead and paste in that code right there. Click on Save Changes. So that's in lieu of being able to do it directly through WordPress. So now if I come back here and I'm going to just click on a different file, theme functions, and there's that code that I pasted in. So that is now working properly. So I no longer need to be in CPanel. Now I am going to make a change into this CSS file, and this is kind of a choice on my part to hide capability. So I do not want people to be able to really search around. Ideally, members should know where they're going to go, and the way I've got it laid out, it should be obvious. So I'm going to actually hide the search capability. And I'm going to go to the very bottom of this page or this file, paste in this code, and click Update File. Now you may want to allow people to search in your setup. In this case, I want to hide this from everybody. Now I'm going to click on Buddy Boss. Click on Boss Theme. And a few things I'd recommend changing. One is the logo. For now, I'm going to leave it up there, and I would definitely leave a primary and a mini logo so that people can easily find, but you're going to probably want to put up your own logo in there. And one thing I do want to get rid of is this slides, and I think I've already gotten rid of it, but I'm going to change it from this to shortcode. In other words, it's not going to display. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes. And then, I don't know why this is the case, but I want to go to footer, and I do not want to use, we can turn this off, or we could simply put in our own custom message. I'm just going to say copyright, and my site is this, and then go ahead and save changes. So that's how we set up SocialLearner for our membership site. In this section, we're going to cover Learndash. Recall from the previous section when we installed and configured SocialLearner, we also had to install Learndash and configure it. So now we're going to do the settings. And what Learndash does very well is provide a hierarchy from course to lesson to topic and actually to quizzes. And for those parts, we also want to configure title, description, video, featured image, and there are a number of other things that we could configure, but those are the ones that are highly recommended. So let's dive right in. From inside your WordPress dashboard, there's one setting I want to absolutely make sure is set prior to doing anything else. So we want to go to Settings, and we want to make sure membership, anyone can register, is not ticked. Make sure there is no tick here, and then just make sure you click on Save Changes. We do not want people to be able to register without going through a shopping cart and paying first. And then before we actually create a course, I want to show you what they do by default. When you have Learndash and SocialLearner installed, and after you've made the configuration changes, you're going to have some courses that are already set up. Now you don't want to keep those. Eventually you're going to want to simply delete these. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that they've got here. And I would highly recommend taking away this little label here. And to show you, I'm going to go into here and just show you what is available. So this is a featured image for this course. Here's the title, here's the description. And if, in this case they have, a video has been included, you can simply click here to watch an introduction video. And then down below, again, is a description. There's also course materials that you can provide. And while this looks like it's a download, it's really just simply a link, in this case, to YouTube, in this case, to a web page. And then you've got your lessons down here. And in this case, there's also a final quiz. And notice there's a discussion capability. We're going to actually turn that off for this. And on the right-hand side, we've got the course instructor, we've got the participants, and then we've got basically our progress on here. So there's a few things I actually want to get rid of. One is the discussion, the forum, and the other is most of this sidebar. So let me go into here, and the easy way to turn off the discussion is simply go to Plugins, Installed Plugins, and I'm going to deactivate bbPress. You may not want to do that, or you may. Now, if I go back here, let's see what's still available. Is there a forum option? No, that is gone. There is still the ability for discussion, and we can actually turn that off when we create a course. So I'm going to go back here, and actually let's dive into one of the lessons that they have here to show you around. So here's a video too. Here's the title, here's the description, and they have topics for each of lesson, and then you get a chance to mark them as complete and or have more discussion. So let me just go simply back up to the top. Now, one thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Appearances. I'm going to click on Appearances. Go to Widgets. And I want to go through each of these options over here and make sure that there are no additional content being displayed. And I think I may have already changed some of these. Okay, so the only one I want to keep is course progress. So I'm going to get rid of course teacher. I'm just going to drag it off. Course participants. Okay, I want to keep that. And I want to keep that. So now let's go back in here and take a look at this. So I no longer have the teacher or participants there. And if I look over here, same, I've just got the progress. I'm going to click on this and go back. So again, you're probably going to want to delete these courses, but not a bad idea to leave it up there for reference early on. So to build a course, I've got a fictitious course called How to Tell What Season It Is. And for each part, the course and the 4 lessons that I have, there's a title, a description, and a featured image, and a video. So let's start by building the course. I want to click on Learndash LMS. I want to click on courses, but I'm already there. So now what I need to do is click on Add New, and I'm going to provide a course title. And I'm also going to provide a description just below there. And then down below, I can actually build out the course prior to actually having the content. And what I can do is simply click on the plus sign under lessons, under topics, under quizzes. And in this case, we are just going to have lessons. So the first lesson I'm going to have is how to tell if it is summer. I'm going to tick that box. I'm going to add another lesson. How to tell if it is autumn. How to tell if it is winter. How to tell if it is spring. Now, just because I've created them doesn't mean I'm using them. What I need to do is I need to drag them over here in the order I want, or I can of course rearrange. I'm going to start with summer. And just below that, it's going to be autumn, or after that, I should say. And notice the line is strike through here. That indicates that they've already been used. Finally, how to tell if it is spring. So even though I haven't created the content, I've created the course structure, which is the name of the course, and I've also got the lessons predefined. Now, a couple things down here in the settings I would recommend. Not going to do course materials because those are basically links to site. I want to make sure this is open. I don't want to have it buy now, reoccurring, closed. Free would be okay, but I'm just going to leave it as open because I'm not controlling access via this. I'm going to use it or control access via another plugin. And we don't need to do anything here. In general, we don't really have to do anything. Now, I'll point out something. If you want to make sure people actually go through this course and complete it, you can use these type of options. You might want to enable a prerequisite. And this is good for people that are trying to get certified for something. For instance, let's say teachers that need ongoing training and this would qualify. You might want to have this options here. You can also add points if you want. Again, I am not going to. Do you want to disable lesson progression? So if you do this, then they can basically access anything in any order. And I'll be honest, this would be my preference if I had bought something. I don't think I'd want to be sitting there and having to watch everything or read everything in order. So you might consider doing that. You can also expire access. after a certain amount of days, but again, we do not want to do that. You can hide the course content tables. I'm not going to do that either. And if I scroll down a little bit further, the one thing I do want to do is I actually want to hide the price tag. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then because I want there to be a welcome video, so to speak, I'm going to drop in a YouTube video that I have for this particular subject and put it right in here. Now, over on this side, I want to go to Document, and I want to add the featured image. And I also want to disallow comments, so I'm first going to tick that. I'm going to go ahead and add an image here now. So I'll set featured image, and actually I do want to upload one. So I've got the featured image set, I've got a video, I'm hiding the price tag, which doesn't exist. I've laid out the lessons that I want to have. I've provided a title and description. So now I'm going to go ahead and publish this course, even though there's really effectively no content. And I'm going to click on this to open it in a new tab and see what it looks like. So there's the image I uploaded. Here are the lessons I have. I've got an intro video, I've got a short description, there's the lessons again. And so I can watch the video. So I've got the course set up. Next step is to create lessons for that course. I'm going to go ahead and click on lessons over here. And notice these have already been created. Now it's a matter of editing those. So I'm going to click on edit. I've got the title. I want to provide a description here. Now, I really don't want to do much in here, and notice it's already associated a course with this, which is what you need to do. I'm not going to force any kind of timers or anything like that. And I'm going to come down here and drop in a video, and I'm going to show you one thing you might consider. But before I do that, let me go over to here. I'm going to not allow comments. I'm going to set the featured image, and I'm going to upload an image called Summer. I'm going to view this in a different tab. And here's the thing to note. Because this video is just kind of an intro video, it's not required. It's above the lesson. If I do this instead, so instead of putting it here, I enable video progression. In other words, I want to make sure they actually watch it. I would put it in here. You definitely have some nice features here. You can auto start, you can show the controls or not. That's a little cruel actually. And auto lesson complete, and then how long after that finishes do you actually tag it as complete. And you can hide the button if you really want to force people to do this. So now if I click on this and update and then go view the page, what you're going to notice is the video now drops down into this area. So even if you just want to place it in a different way, a different position, that's all you need to do. And then you can mark as complete or make sure that they watch the whole video. So I'm going to continue to set up my lessons. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to create another lesson. I've created a course. It has 4 different lessons in it. And I'm going to go view it here. So I'm going to refresh this or just hit the home page again. So there's my course. Notice there's no reference to price there. I've got a description. If I click on see more, it's going to show me, there's the picture. I haven't started. I can watch this welcome video and I can go ahead and get started, but this is what my lessons look like, a lot like the course itself. And here's my progression on the side. There's the video and there's the description. So that's how you set up and configure Learndash. In this section, we're going to cover ActiveMember 360. ActiveMember 360 is a WordPress plugin that controls access to your courses based on the tags that are applied to the contact in ActiveCampaign. So let's dive right in. You want to go to ActiveMember360.com, log in, and you want to click on Download. Click on Download ActiveMember360, and that will download a zip file to your computer. So next you want to go to your WordPress site, log in, click on Plugins, click on Add New, click on Upload Plugin, and then you want to choose the file, or if you can, simply drag the zip file up to there. Click on Install Now. Click on Activate Plugin. Now click on ActiveMember360. Now you want to provide your ActiveCampaign API URL and API key, which you probably saved off from a previous step, but just in case, let's log into ActiveCampaign. And then scroll down to Settings, Developer. There's your API access URL. Copy that back into Word. Paste in the API URL. Back into ActiveCampaign, you will copy the key. And then I typically will date it. And then click Save Changes. Next, click on License Status, and it should say Active and Premium. And just to double check, click on License Check or Check License again. Okay. Next step is to go to ActiveMember360 Plugin Options. Now, because we're using the combination of SocialLearner with Learndash and ActiveMember360, there's a lot of things we don't have to do. So for instance, I'm not going to worry about creating a login page, a 404 page, or anything like that. I'm going to use what's already set up. But there is one thing I'm going to do, which is go to Security Options. This might be one you want to turn on so that somebody can't be logged in from more than one location at a time. But what I want to do is create a security code, and it can be any combination of letters, numbers you want. Please don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do want to enable auto login. This is kind of a key feature to make it easy. And eventually we're going to want to provide the ThriveCart secret key, but for now we don't have that, and we will come back to it. Not a bad idea to make a note of the date so that you know when you did this. And then click on Save Changes. Next step is to go to ActiveMember360 Membership Levels. Now, I created a course about how to tell what the seasons are. And I'm going to give this membership name I'm going to call it Season. And I want to apply a tag, and there's only one tag I want to use. And previously we created a number of tags. One was called Online Course or Customer-Online Course. Customer-Online Course Active, and Customer-Online Course Inactive. And the only one I want to use is the active tag. So I'm going to search for that. And I'm going to click on Customer Online Course Active. Now, in hindsight, I would have named this Customer-Seasons-Active. And Customer-Seasons and Customer-Seasons-Inactive. But for the sake of this, I'm going to use this one that I've already created. And my recommendation is this membership name is the same as the tag name. And then I'm going to click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to go to ActiveMember360 and click on Extensions. I'm going to click on Learndash. I'm going to set this to On. And again, I'm going to date it. Click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to click on BuddyPress. I'm going to enable that, and I'm going to date it and click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to click on Site Event Tracking, and this is kind of an important one because we want to take advantage of this, and I'm going to click on On. I'm going to click on Enable Site Tracking. I am not going to click on Enable Event Tracking, and I'm going to date this and click on Save Changes. Now I'm going to go over here and click on ActiveMember360 Webhooks, and this is also an important one in my opinion. You do not want to have an enabled automatic webhooks, and the reason is if you have a large number of contacts in your ActiveCampaign account, and you do a mass update to them inside ActiveCampaign. If you have this enabled, ActiveCampaign will send over a large number of webhooks in a short amount of time. That can be problematic for your hosting. So I'm going to click on No, and as usual, I'm going to date it and also leave a note that says this, because we're going to use an automation inside ActiveCampaign to effectively do the same thing. And then I'm going to click on Save Changes. Now, next thing I want to do is go down to Learndash, Courses, and for the course I already created, I want to click on AM360 Course Protection, and I want to tick the box that says Seasons and click on Update. But actually, there's one thing I want to make a note of. We're going to change this to a custom URL after we set up ThriveCart for this, because what we want to have happen is if somebody tries to access this course, we want them to get redirected to the ThriveCart checkout page. But for now, we're simply going to leave default site handler, and this is all we have to do to protect the course. And then click on Update. Okay, one thing left to do now is to update ActiveCampaign. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this URL only before the WP admin section. I'm going to go to Active Member 360. I'm going to go to Plugin Options. I'm going to go to Security Options. There's my security code, and just for this, I'm going to do this. And then I want to type this in. I want to add a question mark MBR_GenPass equals. I'm going to copy this security code, paste it right there. Now I'm going to copy and cut this whole thing right there. I'm going to go into my ActiveCampaign account. I want to edit in automations the Active Member 360 MBR GenPass automation. And then I want to click on this webhook, and then I'm going to paste this in. And then I want to click on Save. Next, I want to go to Settings, Developer, Manage Webhooks, and I just want to verify that there's nothing here. If there is, I want to click it and then delete the selected. And that's how we set up Active Member 360. In this section, we're going to cover setting up ThriveCart. So let's dive right in. Now, if you don't have a license or a ThriveCart account yet, press pause and go to IntegratePro.co/ThriveCart and get access so you can get your shopping cart all set up. Once you have your license, log in and let's get started. And the first time you'll log in, you'll be presented with a screen that wants you to set up your payment gateway integration. And you really do need to get this done. It actually won't allow you to go any further. You can set up all three, AuthorizeNet, PayPal, Stripe, or just one. In this case, I am just going to set up Stripe. If I wish to include PayPal, there's one thing you need to do with regards to IPN notification. So let's go ahead and click on Integrate Now for Stripe. The process is very straightforward. You simply need to connect your Stripe account, which means you want to log into your Stripe account via here. And the way I've got it set up, I'm going to have a verification code sent to my phone that I need to type into there. And then click on Sign into your account. And that's it. I'm now connected. Next, you want to click on the little ThriveCart logo in the upper right-hand corner. Click Create First Product. This is a digital product, so I'm going to click on Create New Product. And ThriveCart will basically walk you through the steps. So we go across each of these tabs, but underneath there's individual steps. And all you need to do is fill them in, click on Next. So the product name is going to be Seasons, because that's what I created. The label I'm going to say is the same. URL gets automatically generated. You can change that to what you want. I'm going to leave it in test mode for now. Click on Next. Pricing. You have many options here with regards to currency and pricing. We could do one-time fee, subscription, split pay, or pay your own price. I'm going to do subscription. I'm going to leave the frequency at monthly. The monthly price is going to be $99, and today's price I'm going to set to $99. This could be different. Trial period, and we're going to leave it at a number of rebills is indefinite. You have the option to send your customers an invoice for every reoccurring payment. And then it makes it very clear down here exactly what's going to happen. And if you want, you can set a limit. I'm going to click on Next. Go ahead and save that. If I wanted to, I could add another pricing option. This would also show up on the checkout page. So for instance, if you want to have a subscription for 2 people, you could do maybe double the price. I'm not going to click on calculate sales tax automatically, and I'm not going to customize my customer's invoice. I'm going to click on Next. I'm not offering a bump offer. And right now I only have Stripe, so I still need to set it up here. I can click on Stripe. I'm going to use that. Click on Save. Click on Next. I'm not going to have affiliate, so I'm going to click on Next and skip out of that. Now, fulfillment, you want to provide a support email. And then what do you want them to do after they purchase? In this case, we want to send them to a URL. And yes, we have a membership, but we want to send them to a URL. Now, here's an important part. We need to set up a URL that auto logs them in. And we're going to go ahead and put this to never. Now, one thing to note, for this success URL, we need to do a couple things. And I've got an example right here. So this is the membership site. And when somebody gets automatically logged in, they're going to go straight to this page, effectively the home page. This we need to set. And I'll show you where this number comes from, or characters. I want to go into the WordPress site. I want to go to Active Member 360. I want to go to Plugin Options. I want to go to Security Options, which it looks like I'm already at. And I want to take one of these security codes to use. You can add additional security codes or you can delete it. So I've got one created called 12345. And I had already known that, so I put it in there. But that's important. And then following that, you want to have an ampersand weight equals 3. And the reason I want to do this is in case there's a challenge or a problem with somebody auto logging in. I want to try a couple more times in 1 second increments. This gives ThriveCart a chance to connect to ActiveCampaign to update it. And then finally, I also want to put another ampersand auto create equals yes. So if the user is not already created in the WordPress site, it will do so. This is kind of important for getting people to have a great experience with regards to getting into their account. At this point, they don't need to know their login details. This URL will do that for them. And that's partly why we're picking this system. So now go ahead and click on Next. And you have a choice for 4 different templates right now. I'm going to leave the tall one-step checkout. If I click on Next, it's going to go to Customize. And I'm going to change the guarantee signal to something else. I'm just going to say simply encrypted. Go ahead and save that. Edit requested fields. I'm not going to collect the business name. I am going to collect the customer's first and last name. I'm not going to collect address, not the phone number. We can certainly add a terms and conditions in here. And this is actually a good one. So you can actually do a couple things here. You can link to a page on your site that has the terms and conditions. And I don't have one, but I'm just going to put one up as if I do. Or you can type in the conditions. I'm going to go ahead and say save that. And I want to go ahead and click on Next. And you have the choice of changing the background colors. And you have a chance of changing the layout. Now, here's one thing I would recommend. I don't really like it, but I would suggest putting this on the left-hand side. And the reason you want to do that is if somebody views your cart on a mobile device, this will put the price at the top. Otherwise, if it's like this, the price will show up at the bottom. makes it a little bit more questionable for the customer if they want to know for sure what the price is. So I recommend putting the this sidebar over on the left and the main fields right in here. I'm not going to do anything with custom fields, edit custom checkbox, nope, but you know what? This is a good one if you want to enforce some kind of thing that implies GDPR compliance. So you would probably want to put yes, put a message here, and an explanation there. So I'm not going to do that. And the buy button, you have a little bit of a choice, and you can type what you want or change the colors. There's a few choices there. I'm going to go ahead and not do that. Move on to the next step. Now, this combined with your fulfillment URL is important. So when purchase is complete, we want to redirect to your own custom page, which is what we defined in the fulfillment. I'm going to click on Next. Tracking, we could add tracking code to our product pages, checkout pages, etc. This is good for Google Analytics, Facebook. In this case, I am not going to do that. I'm going to click on Next. And we're going to set up behavior rules. In other words, when somebody does something, when they buy, they refund, they cancel, they make a subscription payment, we can do something. And we've already set up the rules inside ActiveCampaign. So let's go ahead and get started here. To add a rule, go ahead and click Add Rule. And we want to go through every single option that can occur and assign them a rule. So we're going to start with purchase as the main product. And you know what? It looks like I haven't connected ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to click on Close. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Get URL. So it's set up with the exception of the automation. So I'm going to go into Settings, Integrations. I'm going to go to Autoresponders. I'm going to click on the ActiveCampaign integration, Integrate Now. And it's looking for the API URL and API key. So inside my ActiveCampaign account, I want to click on Settings, Developer. I want to copy the URL, go back into ThriveCart, paste that here. I want to copy the key, go back to ThriveCart, click on there, and then click on Authorize with ActiveCampaign. So it is connected now. I'm going to click on this little products link at the top. I'm going to go back down to Edit, and I don't have to go through all the steps. I can simply click on Behavior, click on Add Rule. Now notice it populates, it gives me the choice now. So I've got ActiveCampaign, I want to add them to, and it's an automation. The way I've set this up is we're always adding them to and automation. We're not removing a tag, we're not removing anything, we're not putting them on a list. We're letting ActiveCampaign do the heavy lifting. We're simply connecting a contact to an automation. Now when they purchase the main product, we want to add them to online course main purchase. And this is why we name it. So this is a main and it's a purchase. This is the name of the course. So I'm going to go ahead and say that. I'm not going to tick this box. I'm going to click on Save. I'm going to add the next rule. So I'll just simply go down the list. And it looks like I mistakenly ticked this. So I'm going to undo that in a minute. But refunds the main product. Add them to an automation. So it's going to be main refund. Click on Save. Add a rule. Abandons the cart. Add them to an automation in ActiveCampaign. Abandon. Click on Save. Add another rule. Payment is declined. ActiveCampaign, add them to this automation. Main declined. Click on Save. We're going to add another rule. This time it's subscription makes a reoccurring payment. We're going to add them to an automation which is called subscription pay. Click on Save. We're going to add them another rule for this reoccurring payment fails. Subscription fail. Save it. Refunds a reoccurring payment. Subscription refund. Save that. Add a rule. And this is subscription is canceled. subscription is canceled. Now, this is a lot of work that ThriveCart is doing. It's sending over information about the contact based on their behavior in ThriveCart. And we previously set up automations, and I'm going to go ahead and go back here and show you. These are the automations. So for instance, when somebody makes a purchase, what we're doing is we're removing the inactive tag, adding the active tag, adding the main customer, putting them on a list, putting them into the subscription cancel 30 days, and then entering them into the membership login. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on save and get URL, but there is one little change I want to make. I want to get rid of that untick option that it did. So I'm going to go back and edit product settings. And I believe it was checkout, customize, edit custom checkbox. I want to say no here. And what's nice is the behavior will automatically reflect that. So notice it's no longer an option in here. So I want to save this and get the URL. And that's how I set up ThriveCart. Step 3, connect. This is where we get to make sure all the pieces that we've put together are talking to each other. Now, I'll be honest, we've done most of the work. Literally what we're doing is checking our work to make sure we actually did it. And we're going to just double check if we didn't do it, that we actually make it happen. And I've kind of drawn in what's going on here. For instance, on the far right, ThriveCart talks to ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign talks to ActiveMember360. ActiveMember360 actually does also talk back to ActiveCampaign. ActiveMember360 talks to Learndash. Now we want to make sure all those connections are set up properly. And along the way, when we did the setup, we did some of these. But there were certain steps where we didn't have all the information we needed. So that now we're going to go back, fill that in, and make sure we've got the right information. So let's dive right in. Okay, starting with your ActiveCampaign account, you want to log in, go down to Settings, click on Developer, and you want to copy and save these off somewhere. The API access URL and the API access key. We're going to use that in a few different spots. Now, while we're here, and we may have already done this, click on Manage Webhooks. And in this case, it looks like either I did it already, and what we would have wanted to do if there was any webhooks that have MBR in them, and they're all capitalized, you're going to want to delete those ones. We do not want to rely on ActiveCampaign automatically sending out a signal. We're going to control that manually. So that's one of the things you want to do, is to delete any webhooks with MBR in. Now you want to go to Automations and go ahead and search for Login. Click on Membership Login Automation. Go down and edit the Welcome and Login email. And what we're doing here is verifying that this email login or this address is the appropriate place to go to log in. And in my case, it's not. I did make some changes. So I want to copy this right here, go back into ActiveCampaign, and I'm going to change this. I can leave that. I know that /login at the end is appropriate, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to turn that into a hyperlink, though a lot of times it automatically happens in your email provider. So there, I've verified that that is correct. I'm going to go ahead and save and exit. And I'm going to go back to Automation. I'm going to search for fail. I'm going to edit this one. And I need to make slight modifications to this email. Now I need to change where it says product name. In this case, I think I change it to either online course or seasons. For now, I'm going to do that. I want to update this where it says your ThriveCart account, or ThriveCart account. Go to ThriveCart. All you need to do is log in and grab this little section right there. After thrivecart.com / and whatever follows that prior to the next /. Come back here and replace that, and then make that a hyperlink. So I'm going to copy that, click on this, do this, click on OK, and then save and exit. And now I want to go back to Automations. I'm going to search for MBR. Edit the ActiveMember360 MBR GenPass automation. Now, I want to make sure this is valid. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Now, let's go back to your WordPress site and notice I'm leaving that hanging there for a minute. I actually have to go back now into WordPress, get some information, then I'll come back into there. I want to go to Active Member 360, API settings and license. And in this case, I've already got an ActiveCampaign API URL and API key. I copied it recently, and if I had not done this, this is what I would have needed to do. So I don't need those right now. Next step is go to plugin options, go to security options, and I want to go down here and I want to get this security code. I need that security code. If one is not already created, I'm going to go ahead and add another security code and then save changes, but I do need that security code. Now, next step is to take that information and create a URL. And that URL is going to look like this. It's going to be your website's address for your membership site, followed by a question mark MBR underscore genpass equals, and then the security code that we just copied. So we want to copy this URL. Now we're going to go back to ActiveCampaign, and back in here, we would paste that in here. Now you notice I'm not copying that example.com. I've already got this set up, but I just want to make sure I've got this set up correctly. I've got the secret key at the end, or I should say the security code at the end. I can go ahead and save, and then I'm done here. I need to create another URL, and this one's a little bit differently. Instead of question mark MBR genpass, it says this is your URL for your website, your member's website, followed by a question mark MBR underscore auto login equals, and then the security code that you had, followed by an ampersand wait equals 3, ampersand auto create equals yes. This is our auto login URL. So you want to copy this and hold on to that. Now we're going to go into ThriveCart. Inside your ThriveCart account, you want to edit the product, click on fulfillment. Now verify that what should happen after purchase is set to send them to a URL. And then right here where the success URL is, you want to paste in that MBR auto login URL right there. Set URL expiration to never. Go ahead and save and get URL. We need to take this URL right here, copy it, and we're going to come back here in just a minute. But before we do that, we need to go into WordPress, go down to Learndash, Courses. We want to go to the course we created and click on AM360 Course Protection. This we want to change. Instead of the default Site 404 handler where people should be redirected to if they don't have access, we want to send them to a custom URL. In this case, I want to send them directly to the shopping cart. You could also, if you wanted, send them to the sales page. Click on Update and then go ahead and close that, and then back to ThriveCart. We're inside ThriveCart. We need to do one other thing. We're going to go to the drop down up here underneath your profile picture, if you have one. Click on Settings. Go to API and Webhooks. Click on View Settings for ThriveCart API, and go ahead and copy the secret word. Now, back to WordPress and actually Active Member 360. And if you left it where you were before, perfect. Otherwise, you want to go to Active Member 360, Security Options, scroll down, and you want to paste in the ThriveCart secret key right there. Now, I've got a security code, I've got auto login module enabled, and now I've pasted in the ThriveCart secret key. And then go ahead and click Save Options. And that's it for connecting. Step 4, go live. This step's all about testing. And when I say testing, I mean test and test and test and test again. And you want to do it incognito. So in other words, we're going to make a number of purchases. We might do a refund. We want to do different combinations that can occur out in the wild so that we can know if a customer will be able to successfully purchase. Now, this is part of the reason we picked the tools that we have. They're going to work. It's just a matter of did we put these things together properly. And you can notice in the bottom it says incognito. I want to do this testing through a browser that's incognito mode so that I experience what a customer sees. Now, if I'm not careful and I don't do that, I might already be logged into WordPress. And if I make a purchase, it'll show me a different response than if I did it from a customer's perspective. So we want to start with our membership checklist, which you can get at IntegratePro.co/guide. And the membership checklist is simply a spreadsheet. I'm using Google Sheets to keep track of the different purchases, refund combinations that we do. And the reason I want to do this is I want to make sure all the different combinations that I can think of work. And if there is a problem in the future, and say a customer has a problem purchasing, we can go see, did we cover that condition? If not, you might want to document that for future. But really, if we've done all the steps right, this should be a breeze. But this is the real world. Here are the conditions I set up. Is it a live transaction or is it a test purchase? Are we using a desktop or a mobile device? That could also be a laptop. Which browser are we using? And I'd consider, testing most of these browsers if you have them readily available. Is there a product or not? And when it's not, that means I'm doing a refund. Is there an upsell associated with this? Is there a downsell? And for this case, there is neither. But if you do have that, you certainly want to test the different combinations of product upsell, downsell. And then what is the thank you page they land on? In this case, we want to make sure that they've logged in. And then I keep track of all the email addresses I use so that I can look up things if I need to. Not a bad idea to record the tags that are attached after you've gone through a sequence to see. And then what was the result? Was it successful or not? If it's not, I like to highlight it in yellow so that it sticks out. And then some notes, maybe, what is the product name or anything that stands out. So now it's coming down. Let's see if it works. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, no, this is not a live transaction. I'm doing a computer desktop. I'm going to use the Chrome browser. And note, it's going to be incognito. And yes, there's a product. No, there's not a downsell. And no, there's not an upsell or downsell. And first thing I'm gonna do is actually go into into my ActiveCampaign account. I've already searched, I do not exist there. I could exist, that would be fine. And then I'm gonna go into ThriveCart, put the product into test mode, get the URL, and I've got it such that it's gonna be a standalone checkout page versus embedded on my cart. And that might be something you wanna test too, just to be safe. And you know what? I just did what I said I wasn't gonna do. I wanna do this incognito. So I'm gonna load this site up incognito. I'm gonna put in my first name. Now I'm ready to go ahead and make a purchase. And when I finish, I wanna note the thank you page that I land on. This looks good so far. Here's where I'm at. And I remember that this is the product I just bought. These other ones I had set up as default products, but fortunately, notice it's got my name here, which means I'm logged in. And I've got access to this product just to double check. I'm gonna go there and I can see that. So back to my spreadsheet, I'm gonna mark this thank you page for here. And I'm gonna go check my tags now. I've got customer online course and customer online course active. So that was a success. That worked the way I expected it. So you'll want to do a number of transactions. And for instance, I'd recommend doing at least one live transaction. I'd recommend at least one mobile. I'd recommend multiple browsers. So for instance, we already done Chrome, Firefox, Safari. I'd recommend also doing a refund. I would put a no there. You'd want to repeat, for instance, for this email here, and then verify what tags are applied because there should be something different. In this case, I have customer online course and customer online course active. For a refund, this active should turn into inactive. And again, if you have upsells and downsells, you definitely want to do a combination of product upsell, downsell. So like product upsell, product downsell, product upsell and downsell, if that's a possibility. And anytime you get a failure, you want to mark it as no. And then my recommendation is to immediately repeat it once you figure out what's going on. But if everything's going right, this should not be an issue. Once you've done all the testing, you are ready to go live. Congratulations, you just built the ultimate membership machine this afternoon. You chose the tools, you did the setup, you connected everything, and then you went live. The next step is to visit IntegratePro.com.